How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. We're here every week, and this week we got Bournemouth this Saturday, 5:30 p.m. kickoff over there in their stadium. And I've got with me Craig from Up the Cherries in all departments. If you don't know, get to know people. I'm going to tag it in the title, I'm going to put it in the description. These guys have been gracious in helping us out. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since Bournemouth have been in the league, and there was no box to box a couple of years ago. So here we are. Craig, how's it going, man?
Yeah, all good, all good. Chuffed to be back in the Premier League. It's been 2 seasons, and we've done fantastically well to get straight back up at the second time of asking.
Yeah, what would you put it down to? Because like I said to you just before we went live,
Mhm.
I don't really know much about Bournemouth going into this game. I don't know what happened in the last couple of years, but there was some good memories of Bournemouth, under Eddie Howe in the Premier League. It just didn't work out in the end, but there was some good football played at times. What happened in the 2 years that in the Championship? Was there a turnaround in ambition, ownership change? Maybe Scott Parker coming in 2021.
So when we were relegated, Eddie left the club. He looked a very broken man at the end of the season. We beat Everton 3-1, final game of the Premier League season. And his number two took over, Jason Tyndall. Got off to a very, very good start. Partly in thanks to Dan Juma. Dan Juma's a fantastic player, of course, at Villarreal now. And it looked very, very promising. And then the wheels started to come off, and I don't think Jason Tyndall really knew how to turn it round. He's a very good coach. I don't think he's so much of a manager, unfortunately for him. Um, Once he was sacked, and it was 2 games in particular which really did it for him. We were beaten quite heavily at Reading, and then we had Sheffield Wednesday, and got beat 2-1 against a team that were eventually relegated, who other teams were beating for fun at times. And we brought in Jonathan Woodgate. He got us across the line and into the playoff places. But towards the end of the season, we got beat by Wickham, got beat by Stoke. And we went into those playoffs, beat Brentford, and then we went to Brentford's new stadium, and a mistake by Chris Metham. We were in the driving seat. Mistake by Chris Metham, let them back in it, and of course got knocked out. Scott Parker come in. Scott Parker was really our number one choice to replace Eddie Howe, and
He came
we got
straight from Fulham, didn't he? In the same couple of days that he had left Fulham, he went into Bournemouth, right?
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And it's a bit of a weird one, because I thought Fulham just recently been relegated. I thought he'd probably stay there, but he decided to come to Bournemouth, and the instant impact he had was fantastic. We got 37 points out of our first 15 games in the Championship. Um, Again, at points the wheels did come off, and part of that was Gary Cahill got injured. We bought Cahill in from Chelsea, and at that point, it started to look like he was slowly slipping down. Um, the good thing is, though, is that Scott Parker in the big games managed to get things right. And if you have a look at our fixtures and our results, teams in that top 6 of the Championship last season, we had the best record. The only team that actually beat us was Luton. We beat Forest twice. We beat Huddersfield twice. We got 2 draws against Fulham. Beat Sheffield United at home. Drew away. So we had a very, very good record of those top 6 sides. And I think when push come to shove, he did the right things in those games that mattered. But then again, on the spin side, we did question at times, has he got Plan B? We drew with Reading, very, very poor performance in the second half. We were in the driving seat, and yeah, it just didn't look like it was going to happen at times. Swansea, we went 3-0 down, but I think the Plan B was Kiefer Moore, who he did bring in January window, and that he gave us a lease of life.
Yeah.
He got the goal against Forest, which got us up.
Yeah, yeah. And now you're back in the Premier League, and I just
Yep.
want to touch on Arsenal with you and get your thoughts on. Listen, it's been a turbulent couple of years for us as well. I'm not sure how much you know of seen of it, but last time you guys were in the league was the 2019-20 season, I believe. You said it's been a
Yes.
couple of years, and that was there was a major change for us that season. That's the season Mikel Arteta came in for Unai Emery. I think
Hmm.
Bournemouth was actually one of his first few games, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. I think we
Yep.
did play each other a couple of times in quick succession that season. But yeah, well, what do you make of Arsenal? Mikel Arteta came in, he won the FA Cup in his first, half a season.
Hmm.
Then a couple eighth place finishes, and as you saw last year, fifth in the league. What do you make of it all?
I think there's gradual progression, and this season, Arsenal look very good. 6 points from the first two games. I've been very, very impressed with the business that you've done during the transfer window. Um, Gabriel Jesus, he's really taken on a new lease of life since he's been at Arsenal. I think the shackles have come off, and I think that looks really well. It's a fantastic
Yeah,
signing. Um, I think Martinelli, again, another very, very good player. So I think he's getting things right. He's getting things right. And I saw Patrick Vieira actually predicted that Arsenal were going to be title challengers. And from the first two games, who can doubt Vieira? He's a legend at your club. And, I think he could well be right.
yeah. Listen, I wouldn't mind the title challenge. It's been so long, Craig. But listen, I'll take a comfortable top four finish. But we have started the season strongly. You talked about the last couple of years in terms of management and the ups and downs of Bournemouth. But going into the game, is there any players that Arsenal fans, Arsenal in particular, need to look out for? Because, like I said, I don't know much about Bournemouth heading into this game. I've looked at your previous two lineups. There's a couple familiar faces in there, Lerma and, like you said, Metham as well. I think he was at yours when you
Yeah.
last was in the league. But yeah, who's the main players heading into this game?
I think if he's available to play, and there is a fitness concern over him, Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, yeah,
Last time he was in the Premier League, he was behind, of course, Callum Wilson and Josh King. It was very difficult for him to break in to the side. Did get some games, but didn't really look up to it. So he's benefited from the two seasons that we've had in the Championship. And last season, he got 30 goals. Um, at the start of the first season in the championship, we were questioning whether or not he'd get 20. I think Lerma is a tough player. He's very skillful and knows, and those two work really well together as well. Solanke isn't a greedy forward. He won't just go for the shot. He will pull the shot, pull the pass back, and set somebody else up. Be that Billin, Lerma. Billin's another one. Um, he's not very good in the air, Billin, for a very tall guy,
yeah,
but he's very, very skillful, and he set up Kiefer Moore for that goal in that Forest game. So I would say those three are key. The one player as well, and again, unfortunately, he was out of our game against Manchester City. A youngster, Jordan Zamora, and
uh-huh.
I think Zamora will go to the very top. I don't think we'll be able to keep him regardless. I think he will go to a top six side eventually. He
How old
is
is
that
he?
good. I think it's 23.
Yeah,
Jordan Zamora is. I might have got that wrong, but he's very,
he's
very
young.
good. Yeah, he's fast. He normally plays in the left back position, but does push forward as well. And a lot of our great work last season was through him linking up with Jaden Anthony. They're best mates.
Yeah.
Anthony so far hasn't really got his opportunity in the Premier League, but I think that will happen. But I think Jordan Zamora is definitely one to watch, and he's going to be he's going to be a thorn in the side of the Arsenal attack.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we need to look out for your left-hand side, and obviously Solanke if he is past fit for the game.
Mhm.
Headed into the season, Craig, was you optimistic about Bournemouth's chances of let's say staying up because newly promoted sides, the first thing is to stay up in the first season. Was you optimistic? Because I wanted to ask you about that 2-0 Aston Villa result, where I'm sure
Yep.
a lot of Aston Villa fans headed into the season optimistic. they seem to be happy with Gerrard, and they were brought down to earth by a Bournemouth side that not many people expected to pull out that performance and that win.
To be honest, after the first 4 games, I wouldn't have been surprised if we was slap bang bottom on 0 points. The good thing was the manner of that win.
Yeah,
We took the lead through Lerma in the 3rd minute, and we seemed to be in control. Yet Villa did have more chances, but at the same time, we seemed to have complete control. And then Kiefer Moore finished it off at the end. I didn't see it coming. The main reason being is we have had some problems with our defence. And like I alluded to earlier on, we had Gary Cahill. Gary Cahill was released. He got an injury against Millwall, and then Steve Cook come into the side. And for some reason, I don't understand this, Cookie is a Premier League defender, and Nottingham Forest, he really helped them get through the playoffs and get into the Premier League themselves. And he didn't play for 20 games. And it's the longest period of time that Cookie's had out of the Bournemouth side since Paul Groves was sacked. And that was in League One. So he was pretty much ever
yeah,
present, apart
yeah,
from suspensions and injuries throughout. He got a good run of 3-4 games where he played really, really well. And against Fulham, he threw himself in the front of the ball twice. And I thought, well, we've got to keep hold of him now. There was already these murmurs and these rumours going around if he was going to go to QPR, and then Forest come in at last minute. And we sold him. And I thought, well, what are we going to do now? And we bought in Nat Phillips. And Nat Phillips was outstanding. He was really, really good on loan from Liverpool. Um, since I've seen some of the Liverpool games, he hasn't looked very good for them. But of course, he went back to Liverpool. He's because of the injuries that Liverpool have, they've decided to keep hold of him.
yeah,
And that was a concern because Metham was going to come back into the side. He hadn't really played that much in the Championship. And there was a major concern for me that he's going to be coming up against the likes of Gabriel Jesus. He's going to be coming up against the likes of Haaland. I just didn't see him coping. But in that Villa game, he showed he could. And
yeah,
well, it took us all by surprise. We've since signed Marcos Sensei from Feyenoord, um, Argentine international, and that's a good bit of business. Very, very strong defender. If you do have a little search for him on YouTube as well, score some bloody good goals,
yeah.
some outstanding goals for a defender. So things are looking up. Initially, I was worried, but now I'm starting to feel okay, we can do this. We're not going to stay up. I'm not going to kid myself. I'm not going to think we're going to finish 10th. I think probably 16th, 17th. That's a successful season for us.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to agree. Like I said, the first season is all about just solidifying your place in the league. And in terms of your transfer window, it's not like you've set the world alight. Nottingham Forest have done a lot of business. They've
Yeah,
brought in a lot. So the expectation is on them to be the newly promoted side, to be comfortable and potentially stay up this season. But it doesn't always work out like that with the newly promoted sides that spend a lot of money. We've seen a lot falter and go straight back down and be in more problems than they was before even making it to the top flight.
I
So we'll see
completely
what
agree.
happens there. But listen, one thing about Bournemouth is one of my favorite away trips. It's a very hard away ticket to get, but a
Yep.
couple of times I did get it over the years. Listen, it's one of the best. And this weekend in particular, with the good weather and whatnot, a Saturday afternoon fixture, a lot of people can stay the night, enjoy the beach the next day. So listen, I'd like Bournemouth to stay up. I'd like them to lose on the weekend, but I'd like them to stay up. And in terms of your key threats, Craig, you mentioned Solanke, so it'd be interesting to see Solanke against Saliba and Gabriel, and that newly formed centre back pairing. You mentioned Zamora, left back or left wing back, him against Saka. I'm looking at too.
Yep.
That should be an interesting battle. But we always end the show with predictions. How confident are you going into this game, Craig?
To be honest, I could go with my head or my heart. So the head is saying an Arsenal 2-1 win. but the heart is saying a 2-1 Bournemouth win. We did it a couple of years back, to be fair, and we had Jordan Ibe in the team, so there is that. But yeah, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. Arsenal are on a good run. They've got 2 wins from the first 2 games. Arteta has seeming to get it all together there, and I think it's going to be difficult. But hopefully Rambo has a off day and shows us how much he loves AFC Bournemouth. So that's what we're hoping for.
Listen, he's had a couple, in my opinion, he's had a couple iffy days in the first couple game weeks already, but he's also made a couple great saves in those game weeks at key points, which has kind of kept his mistakes under the radar. I need him back to being that solid Ramsdell we had in the early part of last season, because some of the things that he's been doing recently, it brings nervy moments, to say the least. But when you have a ball playing goalkeeper at the back in the manner we play football, that's to be expected at times. It's not great for for our hearts as fans. So you're saying 2-1 head Arsenal?
Yep, 2-1 head Arsenal.
And heart?
2-1 Bournemouth.
2-1. I know what you mean. Over the years, I've done those same predictions with Arsenal at times being in the mud over those years. My heart was telling me one thing, my head was telling my heart to shut up and get real. But it's seemingly better times now. So I'm gonna go with a confident 3-1 win. So far this season, I've predicted 3-1s for every game. And listen, we haven't won 3-1, but we've won each one. So I'm gonna keep the ritual going. I'm gonna say 3-1 and hope for the best. But I do want a clean sheet as well, because a player we didn't mention, William Saliba, who's just come into the Arsenal side. I actually had a conversation about it with a couple of the Arsenal lads on AFTV, and I said, listen, we need to score more goals and be more exciting, but we also need to solidify a bit more at the back and be a bit more resolute. Both are unlikely to happen simultaneously at the same time. But what would you take next? Becoming a solid unit that's hard to beat, or becoming an exciting team, maybe in the early Klopp days where there was goals galore and whatnot? And the common consensus was becoming a solid team, getting clean sheets. But at the same time, we want to see goals too. So it's a hard predicament to be in, but I'll say 3-1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the result. Ramsdell, just bringing him back up, I think is a fantastic goalkeeper. He should be England number 1 in my book. I think he's better than Pickford.
I agree.
He does give wobbly moments. He did it at Bournemouth as well, where he's playing around at the back and you think, oh, just get it up the pitch. But
Pickford gives those wobbly moments without playing at the back. So
exactly. So I think Ramsdell will be a great goalkeeper for you guys. He already is, to be fair, and I think England number 1. He deserves his opportunity for that position, and I think surely it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. But you know how Southgate is. He sticks with his guns a lot, and the World Cup's not that far away. So if we don't see it before, then I doubt he is number 1 heading into it. But listen, fingers crossed. You are right. It becomes a great for Arsenal, because that only means good things. Craig, before we wrap up, we've gone through the game. We've gone through Bournemouth coming back up and predictions. Let them know where they can find you before we close it off.
So the channel is Up the Cherries in all departments. It's abbreviated UTCIAD. So you can find us on YouTube, on Twitter. We've got interviews with former Bournemouth players, former managers, even a former owner coming up as well.
Nice.
Opposition preview shows as well. We had James on from AFTV the other day.
Yeah.
So there's loads and loads of content that we actually put out, and also our podcast as well, which is a bit of fun, where we're discussing. If you want to find out about Bournemouth during the 90s and during the bad days of -17, it's worth a watch.
Yeah. All right, people, you heard it here. Make sure you follow them up. Like I said, I'm putting the channel in the title and in the description. And like Craig mentioned, James has done a preview over on their channel. So after this one, go over there and see what James had to say heading into that fixture. Craig, love for coming on. We'll see you guys again later on in the season for the return fixture at the Emirates. People, make sure you show some love, not only to their channel, but to this video as well. Hit the like button on the way out. Leave your thoughts, comments, predictions, lineups, all of that in the comment section below. And love for the love as always, people. We'll be back same time next week. Box to box as always.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.